This is the story of Medea, a story of a husband's betrayal and a wife's gruesome revenge. Medea's husband, the hero Jason, was power-hungry and decided to leave his wife, Medea, so he could marry the princess of Corinth instead. Medea was exiled by King Creon, the king of Corinth. However, she begged for one more day to pack her and her children's belongings. King Creon granted her just one day, and one day only. The choir watched the tears fall down Medea's face as she cried over the fact that Jason had left her. Accusations fly left and right between a once-loving husband and wife. "You could have told me," Medea would have shouted. "You would have stopped me," Jason would have retorted back, before adding that he doesn't really love the princess. When he stopped, Jason left angry and Medea began plotting her revenge. A revenge that would make Jason regret ever leaving her for the princess. Medea knows the plan of revenge, but she doesn't know if she can pull it through with it. With a perfect timing, King Aegeus, king of Athens, a friend of Medea's, arrived. "Alas, Aegeus, with the worst scoundrel I have been married." "What do you mean? Explain me your sorrow." Medea explains to sorrow her situation to King Aegeus, whom grants her exile and swears to let her stay in his house. In return, she promises to give him herbs so he can have a child. When King Aegeus leaves, Medea reveals a plan of revenge to the choir. To her are sent the children, with arms full of gifts to soothe her mind against them, a lovely wedding dress, a diadem of gold. And when she dresses herself with this splendor, will she and everyone who touches her have a horrifying death. Such terrible poison is the gift given. When Medea calls for Jason yet again to apologize, she managed to persuade Jason into letting her children stay. She calls in her children and tells them to bring the princess the gifts she has prepared. She tells the children to forget whatever has happened between her and Jason, to take his hand and follow him because he will take care and protect them. And thus, the children leaves for the castle with Jason. The princess adorned herself in the gifts from Medea and her children. But suddenly, she burst into flames and died a horrible death. Her father, King Creon, heard about this fast and rushed to her side. He cradled his beautiful daughter in his arms, only to suffer the very same death as her. In the mind of Medea, the revenge she is getting wouldn't be complete without taking one of the most important things from Jason, his children, his only means to keep his bloodline going, her final way to hurt him. So she kills her children and makes sure Jason sees what she has done, and then she flees on a wagon pulled by dragons. When reading the story of Medea, you will come across a term famously known as the queer theory, which is basically the question: would the story be different if Medea was a man? Yes, it would. But why? Why would it be different if Medea was a man and not a woman? Also, would it do any different if the outcome of the story wasn't like it was? Would it be different if Medea in reality hadn't killed as many people as she had? Again, yes, probably. So, the story does end in favor of Medea. However, she still lost a lot, like her husband, her home, and her children. However, it's never expected of her to seek revenge, because while it would be something a wife would do, a woman would do, the way she did it would not necessarily be the way a woman of the old Greece would have done it stereotypically. Of course, she has the right to be devastated, because her husband did betray her, and she did get exiled from the country with her children. And it's not expected of her to go as far as she does in the story. However, it is expected for a man to make mistakes and not really be punished for it. And women are supposed to see past these flaws that men have in like a forgive and forget term. However, you see that Medea does not accept this. And that's what makes her stand out as a woman. Also, note that Medea isn't Greek. She isn't normally Greek. She is from another country. She's actually a barbarian, if you can say it like that, to the Greek people. And that may also be some of the things that spark inside of her when she plans her revenge. So, instead of getting comfort, as many Greek women might have gotten in the day, she is actually banished from her home. So people did sympathize with Medea, but not as much as they would have expected her to do the revenge she did. So the story plays on this, that you should always fear the anger of a woman, especially a woman like Medea, who has this reputation of, anger issues and murdering people, tricking other people into murdering some people and stuff like that. And the author of the story actually says in this tragedy that is Medea's story that for some other ways a woman is full of fear, defenseless, dreads the sight of cold steel. But when once she is wronged in the matter of love, no soul can hold so many thoughts of blood. So what you can extract out from this quote is that men do have a fear for women, but that's when they have wronged them. So in some way, women can be vengeful because they're smart and they get careless of everything but the revenge they have. Or that's at least the stereotypical picture of a woman in a tragedy like Medea's story. If Medea had more credibility, she would have had her story play out differently. If she was more innocent and had killed less people, like she caught up her brother to distract her father from following the ship, she made a king's daughters cut him into pieces and try cooking him alive because he was an enemy to Jason. If she had killed less people in her seeking of a better future and then her seeking of revenge, which include her own children, her story and the way people see her would have turned out differently. And the audience might have sympathized more with her even though she was a woman. Another quote says, "Of all creatures that can feel and think, we women are the worst treated things alive." It's Medea who says this, and she could be very right about what she's saying. It might not play a biggest role as it did back then today, but there's still something about it. Because in the old Greece, women were not only seen as a tool to gain status, to gain money, to give men a heritage. That's the only thing they were to the society. They were a way to create a new generation, to create young men who could make the land blossom, and young women who could create more young folk to make the whole thing blossom. Even Jason states, that he doesn't marry the princess for love, but for her royalty. Jason wanted more. He wanted what Medea couldn't give him. Medea also says we, which is women, bid the highest price in dowries, just to buy some men to be dictator of our bodies. She compares women to slaves, the way that they can be replaced and they can be treated. She also says, divorce is a disgrace, at least for women. To repudiate the man is not possible. It's poorly for a woman in that time to leave a man. It's a disgrace for her. It's an impossibility. But there's another thing that justifies, in the eyes of the Greek people and in their society norms and rules, her revenge. Her revenge is justified, and she knows. Because when she married Jason, they both made a pact before the gods. So when Jason goes ahead and says, I don't want to be married to you anymore, he commits hubris, and thus calls upon him the wrath of the gods. Every god they have called upon will be angry with him. In the society of the old Greeks. So this justifies her revenge. You can see, because he's gonna feel it, the wrath of the gods, some way or another, and so by saying he's gonna feel it for me because I am a descendant of the god Helios, she can justify her actions. But again, if she had killed less people on her path to become the human she was and to gain Jason the power she can gain him, she might have been painted more as the hero as the villain in the story. And Jason would have been painted more as the villain than the hero. Because in the end, you might end up sympathizing more with Jason than you will do with Medea. And that, my friends, was the story of Medea.